Could it be the two best teams in the NFC? I don't know, maybe the NFL. Let's get crazy. On the field at Lambeau on Sunday. A Locked On Packers, Locked On Lions crossover Thursday starts right now.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome inside another Locked On Packers, Locked On Lions crossover Thursday. So glad we get to do these twice a year with my pal Matt Dery from Locked On Lions. I am Peter Bukowski of Locked On Packers. And Matt, it's funny because I asked this same question a couple weeks ago with Luke Braun, and I thought, okay, could this be the two best teams in the NFC? Since then, the Lions have said, not so fast, my friend, and suddenly look like not just the best team in the NFC, but the best team in the NFL.
Look at you being nice to the Lions. What happened to Pete? Is this because it's Halloween?
It's early. It's the first minute, Matt. We got 28 more of these to go.
It's good to see you, buddy.
Popped up on Reese's Pieces. Let's go.
I mean, what you're being, where's the Dan Campbell bashing? Where's the we're gonna beat you?
What am I? Here's the problem. I was just saying this to Rachel Hotmayer at CBS Detroit.
Oh, we love Rachel.
That like it is so annoying how likable this Lions team is. It's
really?
So annoying. It's so annoying.
Well,
now the Lions fans, they've gotten a little chesty, so they're making up for it. They're making up for lost time here, which we appreciate.
Well,
but like you were skeptical too. I know you were, and I was too. And I feel like I got in on Dan Campbell before you did. You were even more skeptical up until last year, it seemed like. But he has to have won you over at this point.
Oh, of course. Oh, no, he's phenomenal. And look, we have two great coaches, I think, going at it this weekend. I think in this division, and I joked about this with Colton Pouncey from The Athletic the other day on my show, that the division has some great coaches and one really bad one. So it's pretty obvious. Even ask our friend Lauren Cox. I don't think he's on the Matt Eberflus bandwagon, but let's be honest. So Pete, you bring up a great point right out of the chute here. Yes, I think the Lions, you can make the argument right now with the way they've been playing that they might be the best team in football. And that's even without Aiden Hutchinson and really without an edge rusher that you can rely on now. I mean, all the injuries in that room, in that edge room with all the guys out, Josh Pascal, hopefully back this week. But other than that, it's a cavalcade of practice squatters that are really in that spot, but they find a way. They're so well coached. They're balanced offensively. The offense is clicking, and they're blowing people out. I mean, a plus 100 point differential. That's pretty impressive.
It is, and it's the island of misfit pass rushers over there in Detroit. I mean, without Aiden Hutchinson, it's just who can we find? And they're doing it. They're making it work. And look, you and I have joked over the years about future head coach Aaron Glenn.
That's right.
But it does seem like if they're going to get to where they want to go this year, that's kind of what he has to be, right? He has to be the guy who can scheme everything up, who can create those blitz opportunities. And then this secondary, I mean, a young secondary, Terran Arnold looks like he's taking some strides. It looks like things are starting to come together. They play, the Packers share this, the Vikings share this, the Bears share this. There's some defensive talent in this division where guys are everyone's poking at the ball. They get a ton of takeaways. It seems like that's a reflection of Aaron Glenn in a lot of ways.
It is. He's done a very good job. Obviously, he's been handed more talent on the back end, like you said, in that cornerback room than a year ago when he was trotting out for the NFC Championship game. Don't forget Cam Sutton on one side and Kendall Vildor on the other. Vildor has gone from cornerback 2 to pretty much cornerback 5 now.
Yeah.
And he plays a little bit when they need him, but Amik Robertson's been great. He's got that Charles Tillman peanut punch thing going. Created 2 turnovers last week. You mentioned Arnold getting better. Carlton Davis is solid. And it's just a better cornerback room. And they have to play up to snuff this Sunday against an excellent Packers wide receiver group. So that's what makes this fun this week. You love that they're stepping on other teams' necks, and it starts with the O-line.
Wow,
and
speak for yourself, Matt.
And that Montgomery Gibbs duo has been phenomenal. And you run the ball and you pound another team like that, eventually they wear down. And throw in the special teams. Dave Phipp, the special teams coach.
Unbelievable.
It's done great. And they love him. Got a game ball this week. Khalif Raymond in the return game. And they're solid everywhere around the so I guess you use a baseball term, around the diamond right now.
I mean, 50 plus points, and did they have 300 yards of offense? I don't think
No,
that's ever been done before.
no, they didn't.
And so to now add special teams as another way to beat you, it's again, I'll use the same word. It's annoying. It's annoying that this is this version of the Lions. I thought we would start to see the Jared Goff reckoning against Minnesota. I thought the pressure looks, the simulated pressures, all the stuff that Brian Flores could do was going to get to Jared Goff, and it didn't. And it didn't. And I don't know what has gotten into him, but I thought he started off the year a little uncertain, uneasy. I don't know if that was trying to incorporate Jameson Williams too much, and the offense changed its structure a little bit, but he seems to have settled in. What to your eye, what is different about him this year? Because it does seem like he's playing with even another level of confidence here.
Well, I think the addition of Jameson Williams, and obviously he's out this week, and we'll get into that. But I do think that in incorporating him more, I think the other team had tape on Sam Laporta. Last year's rookie kind of came on, and no one knew how to guard him. Now it was all right. What are we doing this offseason to make sure that 87 is not going to torch us? And I think he's going to play a big role this weekend. But I just think Jared Goff is at the point now where there's a continuity about it. All these teams say, and we joked about Eberflus, but let's fire the coach. Let's get rid of the OC or the DC, and that'll change things. Like the Jets, and I know you laugh at that with Rodgers because it's an absolute bleep show there. But right, you're enjoying this. Yeah, but let's be honest. The Lions with the continuity. Jared Goff has been with Ben Johnson now for 3 years. He's been with Mark Brunell for 3 years.
Yeah.
Hank Fraley's been with this O-line for 4 years. Dan Campbell is allowing Ben Johnson to do his thing, and the guy's really creative. They've stuck around and they work together well. And the more you do that, the more everybody's personalities and where they're going on the field. And so that works. And I do think that Minnesota game, because you're right, it's like, Flores and Dr. Blitz, here we go. And Goff destroyed them. So it's like last week, and he did a lot of short fields against Tennessee, but really the last 3 weeks, the completion percentage, the passer rating has been through the roof. A little bit of an ankle turn. Watch that right ankle this Sunday. He's not 100%, didn't practice on Wednesday. He'll play. He's really, really tough, but he's taken it to another level. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, and just because I think that it is true in Green Bay too, this continuity point, especially on offense. You think about, and we'll talk plenty about the Packers later, but you think about the game-winning play essentially last week for the Packers. It's your passing game coordinator, who used to be your receivers coach, goes to your head coach, who's now been there since 2019, and say, hey, remember that play that we were talking about on Tuesday and didn't put in the game plan? I think we can do it. I think we can run it. And they basically draw it up on the sideline and they run it. And with a backup quarterback, they make it all work. That whole chain of things cannot happen if you don't have continuity. It matters so much. And I think for Jared Goff, having Ben Johnson, having Amon-Ra St. Brown, having this offensive line, the running game, I mean, the continuity, this offense, it's sort of like, what are you supposed to do against this offense when you have a quarterback playing at this level, a running game like this, the weapons that they have, and an offensive coordinator who's just seems like he's trolling defenses in the second halves of these games. Every trick play he can think of, he's like, let's see how we can just piss off this defense.
It's funny. Everybody says, why did Ben Johnson run a halfback pass up big against Tennessee? Shouldn't they save that for Lambeau? The answer is no. Ben Johnson's in the moment right now of let's not run up the score, but let's score points. Let's get into the end zone. Sam Laporta was robbed of a touchdown early in the game. He got stuffed at the half-yard line. Let's get him one here. And let's pitch it to Montgomery, because everybody thinks the run is coming because the Lions are running all over people. And he's a former high school quarterback, and he throws a dime. So there's things in that arsenal that Ben Johnson has, and it's amazing because you thought they emptied the bag against Dallas, Minnesota, and Tennessee 3 straight weeks. Now they've got stuff for Green Bay, and they feel comfortable running it. And the other thing, too, and you'll watch this, Pete, this week, the wide receivers block. They really do. Yeah, you cannot be out there, whether it's the new guy, Tim Patrick, or Khalif Raymond, who's little, Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo, any of these guys, they block down the field. And it's a team effort in the run game, and that wears other teams down.
Yeah, no block, no rock in the NFL right now. If you can't do it, you're just not going to play unless you're, Tyreek Hill or Justin Jefferson. But even those guys, they do enough to make this all work. All right, when we get going here, really get going, let's talk Packers. On the Packers side of the ball, I'll let you grill me. I know you got a lot that you want to ask me about. We'll get to that in just a second here. A Locked On Packers, Locked On Lions crossover Thursday. Today's crossover Thursday brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy. You are a passionate football fan if you're listening to this show. We know it's not just a hobby, it's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all those tailgates, touchdown celebrations, or agonizing second overtime, something Bears fans have not had to worry, Lions fans have not had to worry about Bears fans either, because they lose. Which is why they've created the Stan the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel. The energy shot made just for super fans just like you, the fans who are first in the parking lot and who are last to leave. I mean, we can be talking about, think of Packers, Lions, memories of your, Matt's not going to like me bringing up, the Hail Mary. Hail Mary's been a talking point over the last week. Aaron Rodgers to Richard Rodgers. That's a big one. Come on. Didn't you get excited about that? 5 Hour Energy knows that no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a lot of energy. Whether you're prepping for a big tailgate or ironing your jersey, your game day to-do list is always miles long. That's why the limited edition Stan the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot is here to keep you fueled throughout the season. What's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with 5 Hour Energy, available at 5hourenergy.com and shipped nationwide. All right, Matt, let's bring you back in here. Locked On Packers, Locked On Lions, a crossover Thursday. And you're going to ask about Jordan Love and Evan Williams and Jerry Alexander, a lot of hurt guys. I don't have a lot of good answers for you on that, just so you know. But let's do it. What do you got? Let's do it.
Well, I do want to ask about Love. I found it interesting the other day. He says, I want to play.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, can you play? And he's like, I think so. There should be no more question. I mean, the guy's good. The guy's real good. And the questions of, well, should he go? A game like this, you got to figure Petey's going to give it a go. But let's say the groin's not there. Bringing Malik Willis in he's been so improved and has been Packerized here with Matt LaFleur. So they got to feel pretty good about where they're at, even if Love can't give it a full go, right?
Yeah, I think, Ian Rappaport said on Wednesday morning that he thinks there's a good chance that Jordan Love could play. Adam Schefter sort of intimated the same sort of thing. But you're right. There is a point at which having Jordan Love at, let's call it 65, 70%, is not as good as having Malik Willis at 100%. And we saw some of the reasons why. And the Packers are, I've been joking all week, Matt, 2.5-0 when Malik Willis plays, because he got half against the Jaguars. But they beat the Colts. They beat the crap out of the Titans. And they come back to beat this Jaguars team, or at least come back to take the lead. And it took a 2-minute drive to do it. The Packers are going to feel fine about Malik Willis as their starting quarterback most weeks. Now, against a team as good as Detroit, it's going to be much tougher. But if Love can move the way that he did against Minnesota, just from a pure movement standpoint, that's probably good enough. I have to imagine he's going to at least try to play. But who knows? Maybe that means having some Malik Willis third down packages, or just having something in the game plan for they'll prepare for a package of plays if they need it, but they're ready to go with Malik Willis if they need to.
Let me ask you this. Is this just a LaFleur magic touch? I mean, Malik Willis, well, and again, it's the Tennessee Titans, but still, I mean, they
shout out to our
Willis,
guy Tyler Rowland with Locked On Titans.
They handed Willis over to you guys for a 7th round pick. I mean, he looks good. He really does. And that's got to make Packer fans feel good, because Love really hasn't been healthy all year.
Yeah, 74% completion percentage, a passer rating over 130, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, he's been everything you could want a backup quarterback to be, and more, because he can make plays with his feet. And I mentioned that game-winning little receiver leak play that they ran on 2nd down on that final drive. That was set up by a similar boot action play where Malik Willis, no receivers open, he just takes off and picks up 15 or 20 yards because he's a 4-4 athlete. Like, having a quarterback like that as your backup is so valuable, because you can just come in and be a little bit of a chaos agent with your legs to create something when it's potentially not there. And then so many ways that in a one-off game plan situation, I mean, if you go back and watch the Packers against the Colts, they're running single wing high school offense. How do you come in and prepare for that on a week's notice? So, that's what makes this really a fun story. It's such a credit to Matt LaFleur. I think it's a huge credit to Malik Willis, who had taken strides this last year. But I think it was the kind of thing where he came in and just organizationally, they were never going to look at him the same way as Mason Rudolph and Will Levis, given the investments that they've made in those guys. And I think this more than any way else is how organizations fail quarterbacks, because clearly in a better situation, he can look like a passable NFL quarterback, not just a passable NFL quarterback, but like a solid one. And if he's the quarterback, are you going to pick the Packers to beat the Lions? No. But against the Colts, against the Titans, like, yeah, you can win those games. They've proven that. And that's a lot for a backup.
Matt Dery, Locked On Lions, Peter Bukowski, Locked On Packers, Thursday crossover. Tell me what worries you. It's interesting. I watched a lot of the game against the Jags and it looked like you guys were cruising. They make a little comeback. Josh Jacobs does his thing, gets down the field, everything else. And your kicking situation's much improved now. As Anders Carlson is no longer there, but anything that worries you, or do you still feel like in some of those games they're playing some bad teams, you're going to have a little bit of a let up?
I think Trevor Lawrence also just played spectacular football in the second half. We have to credit those guys. And I was watching the QB school that JT O'Sullivan does, where he breaks down all the plays, and he broke down that Jordan Love interception, and he was just like, I don't know what else Jordan Love is supposed to do on this play. Like it's thrown with anticipation. It's a good throw outside, and DB just makes a great play. And I'm sure that you can vouch for this. We've been around the game a long time, watched the game a long time. It's a lot of times we don't give credit to the other team when we're covering something. And I think that Trevor Lawrence deserves a ton of credit for the way that he played in the second half. Christian Kirk goes down. He's down his top two receivers, and he's making plays to Evan Ingrams and Brenton Strange, rookie tight ends, and all kinds of stuff. Sometimes you just have a quarterback get in those modes. Now, the problem is, and if to your question, my fear is that Jared Goff is going to have all the answers to the tests again, because he did against Brian Flores, and the Packers have adopted a similar sort of chaos, simulated pressure style of defense. And if Jared Goff just has all the answers again and can sit back there and okay, I know that this guy's really coming, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's going to be a 6-yard pass and it's going to turn into 16 yards. That's going to be really tough. Plus you add in David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, that running game, they can just stay so balanced. I will say, Matt, this is the best run defense the Packers have had in a long time. So I do think this is not going to be the kind of game where, like, what was it? I guess it was just last year, that week 4 game where they just ran all over Green Bay.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening again. I think there's going to be a lot of single high safeties and loaded boxes. And so we'll see what the Packers approach is. I'm actually really interested to see how Jeff Hafley approaches this, because he's been kind of tweaking here and there with this defensive structure. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the Packers do to attack this offense.
So funny. Lion fans are like, well, we won there the last 2 years. We can win at Lambeau. I'm like, yeah, but Joe Barry's gone. It's a little,
it is a little bit different. And it's going to look, I think for Lions fans, a little bit more familiar, where you're going to see more man coverage than you've seen in years past, more blitzes than you've seen in years past. It's going to look like a very different, and safeties making plays. We haven't seen safeties making plays in Green Bay in a very, very long time. And we might have the 2 best safety rooms in the NFL in this game. I mean, given the amount of takeaways, Brian Branch he's a star, Matt. It's remarkable what he's turned into. Now, unfortunately for Kirby Joseph, Aaron Rodgers doesn't live here anymore. Just loved picking off Aaron Rodgers. But Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, Javon Bullard on the other side for Green Bay. They've got a really nice group. We'll see if Evan Williams can go. But there are some interesting mirror images here for us to pay attention to.
It's funny, McKinney, what a pickup. And a lot of times it's, Packers don't spend in free agency. Heck, the Lions aren't really a team that Brad Holmes doesn't love dipping his toe into that free agent hot tub. But McKinney's been awesome, huh?
I can't say enough about him. I really can't. I mean, they brought in Jeff Hafley. They want to play this certain style of defense with a single high safety. And you can't do that if you don't have the guy. And they identified him early. I mean, Jeff basically said from day one, I started watching these guys and I went, I need a guy. This is the guy that I need. And he came in and he's got 6 interceptions already, 7 takeaways if you count the fumble recovery a week ago or 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, it is a philosophical change, but it is also a personnel change that the names that we're talking about that have changed the Packers the way that Xavier McKinney has changed the Packers, there's only two names free agency wise that come to mind over the last 30 years, and it's Reggie White and Charles Woodson. That's how big an impact he's having. I think he's already been more impactful than Julius Peppers was when the Packers signed him away from Chicago. And Julius Peppers is going to moonwalk into the Hall of Fame. So it's the kind of thing that it's hard to imagine going from where the Packers were at safety. Then you bring in Evan Williams, who I believe is the highest graded coverage safety player in the league right now from Pro Football Focus, and Javon Bullard and Xavier McKinney, and bring in those three guys and think of who they were playing last year. I can't remember a time the Packers have upgraded at one position like that in one offseason. It is a huge credit to Brian Gutekunst, and those guys are going to have to play great. I said on the radio yesterday, of the two guys, I think Evan Williams is actually more important in this game than Jair Alexander, because if you can't defend the middle of the field against Detroit, you are, it rhymes with trucked.
All right, take us to break, my friend. Then we got to get some keys to this game. Should be fun. Last segment here.
All right, we can do that. I'm going to disappoint, I think, some Packer fans with the prediction here, but I don't want to spoil it yet. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. That's coming up next on a Locked On Packers, Locked On Lions crossover Thursday. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, our longtime friends here on the Locked On Podcast Network. The Packers, 3.5-point home underdogs to the Detroit Lions. I don't know how many times in my life I've been able to say that, but I think it's probably a fair line. We don't know who's going to play. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place bets in the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. I also think the over in this game. I would take the over in this game. Malik Willis or Jordan Love, I don't think it matters. I think this game is going over. There's going to be a lot of points. It's going to be fireworks. Get started if you want fireworks for $150 in bonus bets with your first $5 bet if you hit it. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Today's episode also brought to you by a really cool new product, Bilt Rewards. Bilt Rewards is an opportunity for you to earn rewards in a way that you've probably never been able to before. Paying your rent. Every month, pay your rent and watch the Bilt points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points towards a flight or a hotel stay with over 500 partner airlines and over 700,000, yes, 700,000 hotels and properties. You can also use your points to book fitness studio classes, redeem them toward a future rent payment. They're designed to meet your lifestyle. Pay rent hassle-free through the Bilt Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Bilt points have been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bankrate. Earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbilt.com/LockedOnNFL. That's join, JOINBILT.com/LockedOn. Make sure you use our URL so they know that we sent you. Join Bilt.com/LockedOnNFL to start earning points with your rent payments today. All right, we're back here. Locked On Packers, Locked On Lions, a crossover Thursday. Matt Dery, I mentioned the Lions 3.5 point. Can you think of a time 3.5 point favorites in Lambeau, and both teams were good? I can't. I don't know that that's happened in our lives.
No, I can't either. And again, I know it's been the last 2 years, and certainly that was that Week 18 stunner and ending Aaron Rodgers' career. But Lions went into that game an underdog as well.
I think every year I have found a reason since it happened. So 2021, not that long ago, but still, probably every month or two, I will bring up what Dan Campbell did in that week. Was it Week 18? Were there 18 weeks in 2021?
Yes,
where he's throwing fake field goals and reverse passes, and they did everything in a game that did not matter to them, but was a cultural marker for them to say, "This is what we're going to do." I've said on this show, I've said on radio interviews, I've written at The Leap, a newsletter I would love for everyone to subscribe to, that especially if it's Malik Willis, that's the game I want to see Matt LaFleur call. That is the game where you say, we're going to empty the chamber, everything in our back pocket, we're going to be digging out old Nike bags, trying to find plays. let's see what we can do, because I love that opportunity. This is going to be a banged up Packers team no matter what. Even if everyone plays, I think they're going to be hard pressed to win this game. I want to see the creativity from Matt LaFleur on full display. And it is such a credit. I have to take the biggest L on Dan Campbell, because I was wrong. Like, I was flat out wrong about Dan Campbell. Now I want the Packers to imitate that plan, even though they're a 6-2 team. They're a good team, but they're just really banged up right now.
I agree with you. I do think these are the best two teams in the NFC, and you want to see both teams at full strength. I'm excited for the Thursday game in December when the Lions and when the Packers come to Ford Field. I mean, there's a lot of storylines here, and you look at the NFC and how wide open it is after what happened with the Commanders last week and everything else. Yeah, these are probably the two best teams in the NFC. Very well coached, very well drilled. Both defenses are better. I think what'll be a key for the Lions, I mentioned before, Sam Laporta, middle of the field. Not having Jamison Williams out there didn't matter last week against the AAA Titans. I think they are. Let's be honest. That poor guy, Callahan, has no. Where are we going?
He's got no clue.
He's not ready to be a head coach. But this week, without Jamison Williams, I think the Packers maybe, like you said, load the box a little bit, because they know that threat of number 9 running down the field is not there. But I do think that Laporta sneaking by and maybe Ben Johnson gets him in a one-on-one with a linebacker or two, could be the difference in this game. He has not had a breakout Sam Laporta 100-yard game yet. Yeah. He's had some good games, but he was kind of held in check the first few weeks, similar to how Kelsey was in Kansas City. This could be that game you find Laporta. And another one, too, is first outdoor game for the Lions this year. And the only one they're going to have until December, when they have to go to Chicago and San Francisco back-to-back. How will Jake Bates handle it? The young rookie kicker from the UFL has been really good. Dan Campbell likes to go for it anyway, but if he sends Bates out there, he's been great. And it's tough to kick in Minnesota, and he did. But again, first outdoor game, you wonder how that will go. And if there's a miss or two in there, if that could prove to be a costly for the Lions. How about on your side?
Yeah, well, two things on that. The Packers are 26th in DVOA defending tight ends this year. They've had some problems with it. Part of that is because they've been playing a lot of cover 2 lately behind blitz looks. So they'll send those pressures and then they'll drop into cover 2. Well, the part of you want to attack in cover 2 is that seam. So you get tight ends down the middle. Trevor Lawrence had a couple gorgeous plays throwing to the tight end in those kinds of situations. The other part of this, Matt, is it's going to be in the 50s. It's going to be rainy as of the forecast right now, which can affect the kicking game. What was the first thing Dan Campbell said when asked about going to play at Lambeau? Have the right shoes. This is perpetually a problem for opponents. Viking fans they're still crying about 2022 when they were frauds and they went into Lambeau and got their doors blown off because they kept slipping. And they're like, well, we were slipping. Like, okay, right. Cool. Have the right cleats. But this is, I think, part of the Packers' path to victory is Jahmyr Gibbs puts the ball on the ground. You get Jared Goff and his tiny hands. Ball slips out of his hands in his his throwing motion, something like that. Like, create a little bit of variance in here. Create a little bit of fun. These are both two teams that are good at creating takeaways. I think the Packers have to create some takeaways for this team because they're just too potent offensively to think you're going to get them to punt 8 times. You're just probably not going to do that. So you've got to create some takeaways. For me, that's the key. And third downs. The third down stats, some of these stats, Matt, are crazy. The Packers passer rating on third downs, opponent passer rating, is 20 points better than the next best defense right now in the NFL. They're third in completion percentage. They would have the best third down defense in Green Bay by conversion rate since 2006. So that's another key here, to not extend drives, the turnovers and the third downs. That's something the Packers are really, really good at this year defensively. If they can exert their will there, they can win. You go first. You go first with a prediction.
I'm really, to be quite honest, normally I'm ready to rock on this one. I agree with you on high scoring. I think the Lions, obviously the offense has been great. Without Aiden Hutchinson, we haven't really touched on it much. It's Josh Pascal and who knows whom. I think Brad Holmes will make a move before Tuesday to bring an edge rusher in here, whether it's,
do you have a name?
Maybe it's Darius Smith, who hates the Packers and hates the Vikings. So, hey, he's going to get to play them twice a year.
Yeah.
That's possible.
I don't know about the culture fit there with Dan Campbell personally.
I don't either. Arden Key could be a guy. What if the Saints and Cam Jordan agree. Yeah, I know I said I was going to retire in New Orleans, but y'all suck. And I'm going to go up with my friends, Dan and Alex and Aaron,
Yeah.
Glenn, Alex Anzalone, all the guys in New Orleans he knows. That would be a great fit. Calais Campbell could be a minor move.
Chase Young even in New Orleans too.
Yeah. So, although I don't know if Chase Young, after his jogging routine against Jahmyr Gibbs last year in the NFC Championship game, fits the Brad Holmes model, but there's going to be somebody that's coming. It's just a matter of the fit. Brad Holmes is very particular on what he wants to do, but that could be an issue. Is too much time for the quarterbacks. And watch Taylor Decker too. Lions left tackle has not played well the last few weeks, and these are good edge rushers that you guys have, and keep an eye on that one too. You mentioned maybe Goff puts it on the turf. I think it would be if Decker first play of the game last week, Decker let Arden Key go right around him, and it was like, wait, what's going on here? So hopefully Taylor plays better. But I'll take the Lions, and I'll say a 34-27 final.
All right, I like that. I think Jordan Love is going to play. It's hard to know for sure about the other guys. I think Jai Alexander is going to play as well. I think the Packers can ham and egg it here together. I think 30-27. Packers cover 3.5, but lose the game. I certainly could see the Packers scoring enough points in this game to win. I would love to see a one-off game plan from Matt LaFleur is what I'll say all week. Have a couple special things ready for this team, but that's just not really been the Packers' MO under Matt LaFleur. So we'll see if that's how it goes. Otherwise, Sunday, the late afternoon window, Tom Brady apparently is what we're supposed to be excited about.
All right. Is he going to do any prep work?
Can he legally do any prep work? I don't even know what the NFL is going to allow him to do. Can't be at practice, can't be in the production meeting. So we'll see. We'll be live after getting you everything post game. So make sure you're staying locked on Packers, locked on Lions, and we will talk to you next week.